Welcome to the CozyVale. In this video, I'll be covering everything that you need to know about the cooking skill in Palia. If you have missed any of my other skill guides, you can find the full playlist by clicking the pop-up in the top right corner. Everything will be timestamped as well, just in case you need to skip any of the information that you don't need. Now, let's get to cooking. Our cooking mentor is Reth, who can usually be found working at the tavern in Kilima Village. When you first meet him, he'll get you started with a campfire recipe and teach you how to make grilled mushrooms, which you'll need to forage for and can be found around Kilima Village or your housing plot depending on how far you are through the game. You're first going to need to make your campfire and then take your mushrooms and grill them. Once you've done this, he'll give you some more quests, and after you turn all the quests in, he will reward you with several new recipes through the mailing system. I think he gives you 3 in total, if I remember correctly. Once you reach level 2 cooking, Reth then has a free stove and prepping station recipe for you. You can also buy the hearty soup recipe for 50 gold. Once you hit level 3, you can get the mixing station, ramen, and fish taco recipes. At level 4, you can get the oven, steak dinner, and chapa asada taco recipes. Level 5, you can get the meaty stir fry and the crab pot pie recipes. At level 6, you get the blueberry pie, shepherd's pie, and soon tofu recipes. Once you reach level 7, you can get the veggie fried rice and Phoenix Renal recipe. Not sure if that's how you say it. Level 8 is the pumpkin stew and spicy stir fry recipes. At level 9, you'll be able to buy the chili oil dumplings and the celebration cakes recipes. At level 10, you will unlock the guild medals just like all of your other skills. You will then be able to buy some pre-made recipes, cooking plaque, or the ramen noodle wallpaper. At level 15, you can buy the oyster recipe and cook's tray decoration for 560 cooking medals. And then at level 20, you can get the cook's market stand for 980 medals and the Mujin Bahari recipe. Just keep in mind that you need to have all of the stations built and set up before you unlock some of these recipes. And of course, this is not all the recipes in the game.
In the tavern beside of Reth is a cash register, which you can buy a bunch of recipes from.
You can buy some from the register at the bar in the underground as well. There's a couple that can also be bought at the fairgrounds. A lot of the new ones are found in Royal Highlands around the campfires, of course. And then you can find some through fishing and some through quests. Now, unfortunately, there are a few that are a limited time thing, which can only be bought during the lunar event, which is once a year. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's around February of every year. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's talk about how to read the cooking recipe. This is what seems to confuse most of the newer players. Let's go over an easy recipe first, and then we will look at a harder recipe after. So sashimi would be a really easy recipe. What makes it easy? Well, it's the amount of steps that it takes to make it. If you look at the bottom of the recipe, you will notice that it says it takes additional cooking stations. So for this recipe, it shows that we need a cooking stove and a prep station. Since we are already using a prep station though, how can we actually prep it? It's simple. We will need 2 prep stations in total. Actually, when setting up your kitchen, make sure that you make at least 2 of each of your workstations, as we're going to need them. Next, we need the starting ingredients, which means that we have to use these items to be able to even start the recipe, and these will not need to be prepped. Then we have the required produce, which in this case is 1 fish fillet and 1 rice bowl. Once you hit X on PlayStation to confirm the recipe, you will have to make it. You will have to cook the rice on a stove or cut the fish fillet on the prep station. Doesn't matter which order you do these in though. After you have done both of these, you will come back to the prep station and add the ingredients by pressing square on the PlayStation. When all of the ingredients are added, the recipe is done and can be collected. This is when you'll actually gain XP. Now, the next recipe is the Mujin Bahari. which is probably one of the hardest recipes due to the fact it has so much going on. But you'll see what I mean. To start with, you'll need a stove, mixing station, and a prep station just to cook it. To start the recipe, you'll need a stick of butter, and then the rest of the requirements are wheat, corn, butter, salt, red meat, mushrooms, pepper, onion, herb spice, garlic, more red meat, fiber, cooking wine, and an egg. So you see how complex this can actually be. You may have noticed at the bottom that it shows a little box that says quality of items. If you press square, it will add a check mark into that box, and you will now be able to use starred version of the items instead of normal ones. These items increase the amount of focus and the amount of value for that recipe, along with giving you more XP per recipe as well. Now that you know how to read the recipe, let's go over the cooking stations and the mini games. We have the oven, which doesn't really have a mini game. We have the mixing station, which requires us to mix by simply pressing X when prompted and let it mix on its own. You don't actually have to hold it. We have the prepping station, which is where we'll be doing most of our work, and it's just basically a mini chopping game. And these vary per item you are prepping. For example, one may need to be chopped 5 times and move slow. All you have to do is time the blue bar and press X when it gets to the knife chopping line. You have to do that 5 times, but if you miss one, there's no big deal. However, if you chop it incorrectly, it will reset the game, but it will still count what you've already done. Then we have a few of these that move pretty fast, so they can actually be pretty tough. And last is the cooking stove, which can require you to mix ingredients just like the mixing station, or requires you to flip the recipe. This is the one that gets most people, considering there's no tutorials whatsoever on it. You simply just need to start by pressing and holding X. You'll let the circle go around until it reaches the little ball on the circle, and then you let go. If done correctly, it will flip the recipe for you. If you miss it, don't worry, you can try again. That should have you prepared to cook any recipe, but I will take you through one just to show you how it's done. I will make the bean burger, which is probably one of the most difficult ones to do by yourself. As you can see, there is quite a bit of ingredients to use in this recipe. I'm going to go ahead and mix up the farmer cheese on the stove first. As I said, you just press X one time and it will automatically stir for you. Now I will go to the prep station and chop everything else. As you can see, these are fairly easy to chop as they move at a steady pace. However, the fast ones can be a little challenging sometimes. Oh, I actually forgot about the dough. But basically it's the same as chopping, but with 2 lines instead of 1. However, the minigame is always at the same pace. Now back to the stove to mix the next ingredients. And now we're going to flip one. And I just now realized I probably should have failed on one of these to show you what it looked like, but oh well, it's too late now. Now we're going to add everything to our dish by pressing square per each item. Oh, almost forgot the oven. Now we're going to run up, press X. I will mix the condiments. Add everything to the dish and collect it. If for any reason you can't make the dish in the allotted amount of time, the dish will burn and become ruined. You can't eat it, but you can sell it or decorate with it. So always keep an eye on that. Sometimes when cooking other stuff though, you'll have to add to the dish while cooking it. Keep that in mind as well. Now, just like the other skills, you will get trophies at level 10, 25, and 50 to decorate your housing plot with. However, you can also get 2 trophies, one for cooking every dish with a friend and one for cooking every starred version dish with your friend. And you can also get a grill for doing a quest for Hadari, which if I remember correctly, it's like a level 4 friendship quest, but I don't remember. And that is used just like the campfire. And here are just a few tips and tricks to help you out. In order to level faster in the beginning, you can make multiple campfires and grill up meat, mushrooms, fish, and fisherman's brew Simply start grilling and move to the next one. By the time that you have all of them started, your others will be finished, so you can grill up a lot quickly. Once you reach level 10, XP starts getting less, so concentrate on food that gets more focused. Examples would be like starred celebration cakes. However, it could be easier now that they added more recipes. I don't know for sure, so you'll have to experiment with that one. Now, you can make quite a bit of gold and XP doing cooking parties, which I've never done personally, so I can't say for certain, but be aware if you plan on doing cooking parties or just cooking with others in general, you will need to have everything in your inventory to make the dish that you want to make. When it comes to cooking, the items in your inventory get used first, and it uses anything in your storage next. So, for instance, if there is a fish or bug you don't want to use, stick them in your storage box because it can't pull items from there. If I remember correctly, you have to fish up the sashimi recipe from Bahari Bay, but do not fish in fishing pools, as it will only come from open water. Not sure if the chum bucket will affect it or not though. When cooking, even if you use regular food, it can proc the starred version. However, cooking starred food can also proc non-starred version. And of course, besides eating starred version food, you can place it down as decorations. And that's a wrap on this video. I would like to apologize that this video is so long, but I wanted to try to make sure I covered everything in it, and unfortunately there was a lot more than I thought there would be. So if you enjoyed it, or if you found it helpful, make sure that you leave a like and share it with everyone, as it helps the channel grow and I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe, stay cozy, but most importantly, have fun gaming.